Atelier Marie Remake is a love letter and a game dedicated to those long-running Atelier fans. The series, with its latest additions like Atelier Ryza and Atelier Sophie, have attracted a lot of new players, but what about taking care of those who have been with the series just a bit longer? Well, Atelier Remake now enters the scene, tailored for those who truly love the Atelier series of old. But it does beg the question, is it only for them? Is it only for those who have love for Atelier? Well, the answer is no, it's for everybody, and you don't have to be a longtime fan to jump in, or even have played one of the past games to jump in, as this is a perfect jumping in point. Of course, I'm also going to jump into thanking Koei Tecmo for providing us a code over here at the Game Looters for this review, but of course, all opinions are our own. Alright, Atelier Marie serves as an exceptional starting point for anyone new to the series. This is a reimagined version of the very first game of the series from the PlayStation 1 era. It takes all of the modern flair, though, of the most recent games, aesthetics, and systems that you would find in them in games like Ryza and Sophie, but it presents them in a remastered chibi aesthetic that makes this game very distinct from those. Another point that might pique your interest is that Atelier Marie, being a remake of an older game, provides a shorter gameplay run than it does versus the past games or the most recent ones. I found this to be a great selling point for those just dipping their toes into the series or the universe for the first time. The gameplay of this one hovers around, give or take, don't quote me, but around the 20-hour mark, in contrast to Sophie and Ryza, which, again, don't quote me, I'm only going on my experience, hover around the 40-hour mark. So, being around half, this is a easier entry point for those who maybe, have a little ADHD like your boy here does. Now, I'm going to pause there and just say real quick, full disclosure, I'm not a seasoned veteran or seasoned Atelier player. My journey began just a few years ago with Atelier Ryza, which led me down the Atelier rabbit hole with Sophie, and then Sophie 2, and Atelier Roroa, and of course Ryza 2, and more recent Ryza 3, them thighs, am I right? So I might not have played every entry, but I have a pretty good backlog and pretty good experience with these easygoing games, and have a good grasp of the relaxing casual gameplay that this series offers and what you get out of them. This particular game, in Marie, this one here, the story focuses on a aspiring alchemist who has to prove her worth within a 5-year time span. That's right, she only has 5 years. The way the game uses this time is as a currency, and that's what makes this game very unique versus its predecessors. It adds a sense of urgency and stress, which each action you take, taking some of your time, whether you're building, whether you're in your alchemy lab, whether you're gathering, everything you do takes time. The good news behind this is that Marie offers various game modes for you to choose on how you play. If you don't want the stress of those 5 years creeping up and everything you do dipping into that time, it offers a experience that is non-time, so you're able to curate your experience. Just simply make sure that you do what you're supposed to when you play video games, and that's have fun, because that's what it's all about. Let's talk about the graphics for a second. Graphically speaking, this game may not blow you away, but it's definitely unique. And you have the option to choose between 2 modes. Now, I myself played on the Nintendo Switch, and it offered under the controls in the weird submenu, but regardless, I'm going to lay off of that. Regardless, there are 2 modes you can choose from, being performance and graphics. And I personally didn't notice any significant difference between choosing either of the modes. I first chose performance thinking I want to get the most FPS out of it, but really switched right back to graphics as I really didn't notice any difference. There might be something specific behind the scenes that's happening, but all I noticed is a ton of blur everywhere. And with this being a 30-frame experience, I just say go with graphics, as there wasn't really any gain in performance, at least that I noticed, because this is a pretty easy, slow-paced game that doesn't necessarily need the extra push if it's even giving it any. What I did notice of the game, though, was exceptional visual appeal. Now, there's a lot of style and pizzazz in the game with this unique art style. Now, outside of just visually, audio-wise, there was a huge drawback for me, and that was the language barrier. Now, yes, this game is completely subtitled, but what I mean is this game is primarily in Japanese, and I would have preferred, I've been begging for it every major Atelier release, is I would have preferred a localized English version to completely immerse myself in the experience. I don't know about you, but I don't speak Japanese. Now, I'm not going to partake in the sub versus dub war. Enjoy what you want to, but the reality is there's so much missed opportunity when you have to stop your gameplay to read, when you have to reread lines to make sure that you understood something, or when the text goes too fast and you have to go back and read the historical sub data once again just to know what was going on. It's an awful experience, and really, they really need to focus some of the budget on localizing these games, as they're missing a huge portion of the audience who just enjoys playing games in their local language. It's a big miss, and I hope that Koei Tecmo takes notice of this when they're bringing their games over to the West, that they absolutely need a dub and they absolutely need to be localized. This is a huge thing to me, and it really hurt my experience of the game. I'll be 100% honest. Now, in terms of gameplay, I did thoroughly enjoy the game. The game jumps straight into the tutorial mode and has you start taking on quests. As an RPG player, you can expect a main quest and a side quest, which both provide equally satisfying experience. The side quests, though, do offer some depth to the story, expanding on the world and the characters within it. Lastly, I'd like to mention again the chibi art style, which did grow on me over time, plus the incredible music and visual novel style telling of the story, which did add another layer of appeal to the game as well. So what's my final verdict? Well, Atelier Marie Remake is a commendable reimagining of a classic game that offers a fantastic experience even if you've never ventured into this Atelier series before. The beautiful graphics, engaging gameplay, and lovable character of Marie certainly left a positive impact, though it doesn't dethrone Sophie or Ryza from their top spots in my heart. It makes for an excellent playthrough for anyone who enjoys easy-going RPGs. On our Game Looter scale, we're awarding Atelier Remake a solid 7 out of 10. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more reviews, walkthroughs, tips, gaming guides, and more. And if you liked the video, give us a thumbs up and stay tuned for our next video. See you then.